Dear students, today I am going to continue the chapter Zoo Geography of India. We had discussed about the various geographical realms of the world and where India stands. As I have already told you, the various realms the Nearctic, Neotropical, Palearctic, Oriental, Australian, and Ethiopian. Ethiopian is now known as African. Now, India comes under the Oriental realm, geographical realm. The Indo-Malayan realm, which is also known as the Oriental realm, it includes the Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia, and southern China. Thus, it includes regions such as Afghanistan through the Indian subcontinent, lowland, southern China, Indonesia, Philippines, lowland, Taiwan, and Japan's Ryukyu Islands. In the map, it is clearly mentioned in various colors green color up to the Sundas and the islands of Philippines and the Ryukyus Island, and in yellow and light yellow color you can see the Indian subcontinent, the Afghanistan area. Now India comes under Oriental region. Now this Oriental region it includes the India south of Himalayas, Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, Sumatra, Java, Philippines and South China. This region is bounded by Himalayas in the north and in the west separated from Palearctic by mountains and desert of eastern Iran. Above this Oriental realm, the Palearctic realm stands. So, this Palearctic realm is separated by the mountains on the west from the Palearctic by mountains and desert of eastern Iran. But there is no physical boundary in the southeast corner. Now we know that India has very varied physical features. In the north, the Himalayas covered by snow and the plains and plateaus and Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat. So physically we see that it is very different features. The northern India is temperate. Even the climatic conditions and the forests are different according to the biogeography of Indian subcontinent. The northern India is temperate, eastern part including Myanmar and northeast Asia has rainforest. Western peninsula is part of desert and southern part of India has tropical forest. If you can imagine the map of India, you can very well come to know that the northern India it has temperate type of climate and the forest is temperate forest, whereas in eastern part which is including the Myanmar and northeast Asia it has rainforest, and the peninsular area of the western region it consists of a desert. You know very well run of Kutch and the desert of Jaisalmer in Rajasthan, and the southern part of India has tropical forest. Now, the fauna which exhibits here, it has considerable resemblance with that of Ethiopian region. That is, the fauna of Oriental region, it very much resembles with the African region because Ethiopian region is now known as African region. It is further subdivided into Indian subregion, Indochina subregion, Ceylonese subregion, Indo-Malayan subregion. Now, this region includes Indian subcontinent, southern China, and south of 30-degree latitude, Malaya, Philippines, and Indonesian islands up to the Valles line. Now, these are rainforest in the east, high mountains in the north, and western part is arid. Along the southwestern coast, there is a forested low mountainous belt. Now, what is this mountainous belt, which is also known as the Western Ghat and Eastern Ghat? The mammals in this oriental region realm are that there are 30 families of mammals, out of which 5 are endemic, that include Cynocephalus, which is also known as Calogo. This is a gliding mammal with furred membrane stretched between forelimb and hind limb. As you might have seen in flying squirrels, The skin in between the forelimbs and the hind limbs is stretched and it is having furred membrane. Tree shrews and arboreal tarsiers of Philippines are restricted primates. That is, these primates are found only in this region. They are endemic to this Philippines. Tree shrews and arboreal tarsiers. The spiny dormouse is arboreal rodent. It is a rodent but arboreal, that is, it is found on the trees. This spiny dormouse is also endemic to this region. Now, if we talk about the fauna of India, that is zoo geography of India, so they have some uncommon species. One is gibbons. It inhabits regions of Assam, that is the northeastern part of India, Myanmar Peninsula, Southeast Asia, and the Greater Sunda Islands, while orangutans are restricted to the islands of Sumatra and Borneo, where they are in danger of extinction. Orangutans are endangered species. They are at the verge of extinction, so they need strict conservation measures so that this species can be protected. The Asiatic distribution of the African lion, now confined to Gir Forest National Park of Kathiawar Peninsula in Gujarat state of India. Now here it is known as the Asiatic lion, and this is confined only to the forest of Gir National Park. Nowhere else in India it is found. It is found only here and it is protected. But a few specimens may still occur in the southeastern Iran. The only population of lion is found in this area, that is the Gir National Park, where it is protected. This is also one of the endangered species. Tigers are now found from Himalayas to Sumatra, whereas these tigers had a good range, that is wider range. Once they were having wider range, but we all know that tigers also are highly endangered species, and the project which was established in 1973, this project is looking after the conservation, strict conservation measures of this species tiger. Flying and ordinary squirrels are common in woodlands. Flying squirrel, if anybody has gone to Sita Mata Sanctuary in Chittorgarh, Rajasthan, so this flying squirrel can be seen over there. So these squirrels are common in woodlands. Gores, which are known as large wild oxen, are found in India and Myanmar. Now the most common antelope is blackbuck. Blackbuck, which is also the state animal of Rajasthan and also Tamil Nadu. This blackbuck is found, this is an antelope, and it is found in open bushy areas, wild areas, and also the cultivated plains. They are often found near the cultivation, that is agricultural crops throughout India, except on the Malabar coast of India. The Nilgai or blue bull. Why it is known as blue bull or nilgai? Because the tinge of the skin of the adult animal seems like bluish color. This huge sized blue bull and chausinga, which is also known as the four horned antelope of northern India, these occupy the hilly regions south of Himalayas. From Himalayas to the lower plains and plateaus, this animal nilgai and chausinga is found. Chausinga, this antelope has four horns, that is two pair of horns. Hence, it is known as chausinga. Now, musk deer, it is found in the pine zone of Uttarakhand, Kashmir region, Nepal, and the Indian state of Sikkim. Musk deer is also highly endangered because this animal was killed for the extraction of the scented musk pod. The pod, it is found in the abdominal region of the musk deer, and inside the pod you can see a charcoal type uh, scented is musk is present in this, which if crushed it seems like that charcoal has been crushed, but this has very good scented smell, for which this animal was highly hunted. But now it is coming under the protection of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, and it is protected over there, and it is present in the pine zone of these areas. Sambar deer practically over the whole region and the Muntjak. So what we see that this musk deer was hunted a lot because of the extraction of the musk pod. Sambar deer, this is practically present in the whole region of India, and Muntjak, which is known as the barking deer, ranging from northward into southernmost China. This deer is found all over the region of India. Barking deer, it is known as barking deer because when it makes sound, it seems like a dog is barking, whereas it is a deer. Therefore, the name barking deer has been given to this muntjac. Next is the Indian one-horned rhinoceros. This is protected and confined to the Nepal and Assam region. We all know very well Kaziranga is famous for this Indian one-horned rhinoceros. This rhinoceros is huge in size and the horn size is also good. Sumatran two-horned rhinoceros. There are three rhinoceros: Sumatran two-horned rhinoceros, Indian one-horned rhinoceros, and one-horned Javan rhinoceros. This Sumatran two-horned rhinoceros, you can see two horns, one large in size and behind it is a smaller one. Now, this rhinoceros is restricted to the deep forest of Malaysia, southern Sumatra, and northern Borneo. Now, the Javan rhinoceros, it is also having one horn. The population is very few, that is, only a few dozen are left. The difference between Indian one horned rhinoceros and Javan rhinoceros is that the size of Javan rhinoceros is smaller than that of Indian rhinoceros, and the horn size is also smaller in case of Javan rhinoceros. The other difference is that Indian rhinoceros, male and female, both have horns. Only the children, the small ones, they do not have horn. Otherwise, the adult male and females, they have horns. Both the sex have horns. Whereas in Javan rhinoceros, only males have horn. The horns are absent on female Javan rhinoceros. So this is the only member of the genus Rhinoceros, the Indian and the Javan rhinoceros. Indian peacock and other peacock is that Pavomuticus, which is restricted to the Java. Throughout India, we can see this Indian peacock, which is also the national bird of India. The difference between these two peacocks is that the tinge color of Indian peacock is bluish color, whereas Javan peacock, the color is greenish color. You can see the difference between these two peacocks, Indian peacock and the Javan peacock. Now the factors affecting distribution. Why I am telling this? Because animals are found to occupy all diverse habitats. Wherever life is possible, the animals occupy those habitats. But the animals found in different regions, different areas, and different localities are not identical. They exhibit several complications in their distribution pattern. The irregularities in distribution are mainly on account of the non-uniform dispersal of the animals, which is governed by several factors. I have already explained you in the last lecture that what are the various means of dispersals for example, wind, storm, migration. So these factors which control or check migration and dispersal of animals are known as barriers. So they are acting as barriers for the distribution of the animals. Now what are the barriers? The barriers are the factors which hinder in the normal distribution of animals. Maybe either vast tract of territory inhospitable to a species or narrow bands of environment that may act as narrow fences, preventing species migration to new regions. The dispersal barriers, they are preventing the species to migrate from one place to new regions. Now these are further categorized into three categories: physical factors, barriers, physical barriers, climatic barriers, and biological barriers. Physical barriers, the topographical barriers, large bodies of water and land mass, impurity and lack of salinity of seawater, vegetative barriers, and shear distance. These all act as physical barriers. The huge mountains standing, they can also act as a barrier for the movement of animals, or large bodies of water or landmass, they also will act as physical barrier. And sea, oceans, they also act as dispersal barriers, vegetative barriers. Sheer distance means they cannot cover long distances. Now the next is climatic or ecological barriers. So these barriers are the various climatic factors like temperature, moisture, amount of light. Now biological barriers, they are sedentary habit. For example, if any animal has a sedentary habit, that is to stay at one place, so that will also act as a biological barrier. Or otherwise, the next one is home range or territoriality. For example, large mammals, they have a big home range. That is, for example, requires 100 square kilometer of a territory for itself. So we see that the home range of this animal is huge as compared to the smaller mammals. So these home ranges also act as biological barriers for the distribution of animals. Thank you so much.